Dude, this vacuum seriously looks like it came straight out of the Dust Bowl. Welcome back to the workbench, everyone. It's been a little while. I've been on vacation, but I am back and we're doing some vacuums. So today I've got a Miele Solaris Electro Plus, which is model number S514. Now, I don't think that I'm alone when I say this is one of the finest designs that Miele has ever come out with. It was a refinement on all of their previous designs and was one of the last of the really heavy duty built machines that they had before they moved to like the skeleton construction, which is kind of what they use. I guess the S5 technically was kind of like a skeleton construction, or more of a traditional construction. I like this machine better though, and of course the C3 or S8, those were all skeleton constructions, which basically means that it's like a unibody, so everything is kind of like, looks like a really thin flimsy piece of plastic until you bolt it all together, and then it kind of makes one solid unibody. This was built more like a body on frame truck, really heavy but also heavy duty. These were kind of the pinnacle of old school Miele, and I don't think that I'm alone in saying that. Okay, runs okay, but it is blowing dust. It seems like there was some sort of obstruction. It might be clogged. Looking at this, all this dirt on the outside, all that is like that. That is all an indication to me that this is not cleaning properly. So, you know, when you have a sealed system like this, it should never get this dusty unless you have like a bag failure or a filter failure or it's clogged. In those cases, you can start to see dust build up. This is a sign on a sealed machine of a problem. So we're going to take a peek and see what's going on. And yeah, so at some point, something has happened with this. There's been some sort of bypass. I don't know if they were using cheap bags at one point. This is a genuine bag, but I mean, look at just, there's just dirt all over this, which again is very rare for a properly maintained Miele. These poly bags, Miele's poly bags are you know, industry standard. They're state of the art, best bags in the business. So so this really shouldn't happen. So it really does need a service because we don't want all that dirt sticking around inside the motor. And we can tell that there is dirt in the motor because if I take off the little hinge that you have to pry off here, it just pops out. There you go. Pop this one. All right. So if we flip this over, you're going to see, yeah, that is an abnormal amount of dirt for a filter to be dealing with. These filters are designed really only to deal with minute allergens. You can see all the grit and the sand. That means that this dirt has actually passed through the motor, so we need to get in there and clean all of this out. It's just in pretty dirty shape, but we can do it. Go ahead and get into this guy. The other thing that I really like about the S500 series is they're just really easy to get into. There's two clips right here, screw right here, but I love these designs because, you know, this is a separate assembly. All the electronics have these plugs. They just plug perfectly down into here. Everything is sealed with a gasket, as you can see, so anything that has access to the motor compartment is completely gasketed off. Just high engineering. you know, we talked about how dirty the interior and exterior of this machine are. You can see how dirty the motor housing is, that motor. However, the difference between the dirt inside here and the dirt inside this cord reel area is notable, because this is completely sealed off with a seal, and all that goes through your filter. This area is not part of the vacuum chamber. This is its own deal. Really, most dirt that ends up in this area comes from when you retract the cord. Little pieces of dirt will stick to the cord if you're not careful, and that will end up kind of accumulating down at the bottom here. But you can see it's just a testament to how well this filters, the fact that you know, this is absolutely filthy and this is pretty clean. So right now I'm filling up the tub with water to wash all this out. I'm also going to clean up some other pieces while that's happening. Now this is the only area that's a little bit of a pain, is if you want to wash this upper housing, you got to take all the electrical out of it. It's a little bit more complex than some of their other models. All right, we are back. So the vacuum has dried, so we gave it a wash off. Now, obviously it was pretty dirty, but it looks so much better than it did before. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and reassemble this guy and kind of clean as we go along, kind of do the final detail. But we washed pretty much every piece of this unit that could be washed, including the tools. So everything has gotten a good scrub down. So what I like to do on machines like this that are have been super dirty is I like to have a wet rag, wet microfiber that just barely damp, that I can touch things up as I reassemble. So the first step is going to be getting this bumper back in place. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is, this is the motor insulation. Now I didn't wash this, I only vacuumed it off, but this is getting old and I don't want to take the risk that it would disintegrate. Definitely a distinct possibility. Vacuuming it off is about as good as we can get for this, and you know, the little bit of residual that's left inside of it won't hurt the machine. Obviously everything's going to be filtered before it heads back out, and we've taken care of the bulk of any contaminants that were in there. All right, so we cleaned off the motor as well. Again, motor bearings sound pretty decent. Got the dust out of the fan. There's no more pebbles in there, so I think we're pretty much good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and reinstall this top housing. Again, this is looking fantastic from the wash. I've got a super secret washing agent that somehow, I don't know how, it's not designed for plastic per se, but again, I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. Now, this is the standard Miele AirClean filter. My personal thoughts on these, I feel like if you're going to buy a Miele, part of the reason, oh, and the bag door will hold this down, so we don't need to worry too much about that. But my personal opinion on this is if you're going to buy a Miele, you're buying it partially for the filtration capabilities. While this is an okay filter, I don't think that this is the reason why you buy a Miele. I would absolutely put a HEPA in place of this. That's my personal opinion. I don't care. You know, the only models that I might consider running these on would be the C1 Classics because they're not an actually sealed system. There is a little bit of bypass, but if I'm buying any other Miele model, I will put a HEPA filter on it just because that's the point. Like, why do I buy a sealed system machine if I'm just going to put a particulate filter on it and not like a HEPA? So we took all this apart so we could wash the lid, and I wish we hadn't had to do that because this is going to be a pain. This is probably going to be the hardest part of the repair. This still has a little bit of gunk in it. You know, I washed it. It looks infinitely better than it did, but it certainly has a little bit of crusty left in it. So the best way that I've found to take care of that is to just do a little shot of furniture wax in here. Get in all those cracks and crevices. Then what we do is we take a chip brush and we just work it all the way through. Now remember, last time it had a bunch of dust coming up out of it, so hopefully this time it won't. Wind down is long, but it's not grindy, it's not whiny, so I think this is in really good shape. Motor sounds good, no dust coming out of it, sealed suction is great. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a quick detail. Now these black machines, whether it's the Solaris, the newer Konas, they tend to show paint transfer pretty, pretty decent. But the nice thing is the paint will come off pretty easily with a little adhesive remover. So I just take a little bit of this. So anyway, that was a service on a Miele S514 Solaris. So yeah, taking a very dirty machine, but one of my favorite Miele machines, just built like a tank. You can see what we brought it back from. Starts right up, runs like a champ, zero issues. This will continue to serve them for a long time. My goal at some point is to get a really clean used one of these with one of the larger power nozzles, just for my own collection, maybe like a really minty one. So in any case, I do appreciate you watching. Sound off down in the comments below if you have any questions or comments. And of course, we would really appreciate a subscription and a thumbs up. And of course, I will see you in the next video. Bye.